Welcome to our new episode.
Imagine standing on the edge of the ocean, watching waves crash against the rocks, and realizing that beneath those endless waters lie cities older than any record, structures whose precision rivals modern engineering, and secrets that could rewrite history itself. This is not legend. It is a mystery the world has barely begun to uncover. In 1922, oceanographer Richard Beaumont set sail from the port of New Orleans with one of the most ambitious goals any explorer had ever attempted: to chart the uncharted depths of the Gulf of Mexico. The world at that time was still recovering from the First World War, and technological advances in submarines and diving equipment were limited. Yet Beaumont was driven by whispers of anomalies reported by fishermen and merchants along the Louisiana coast. Stories told of strange stone formations just beneath the waves, sometimes visible during exceptionally low tides, often surrounded by an eerie calm and unusual currents. Beaumont, a meticulous man in his mid-40s, was initially skeptical. He had spent his career mapping coral reefs, shipwrecks, and underwater caverns, and he knew how the mind could play tricks on even the most careful observer. Yet something compelled him to investigate these reports. He had a hunch. The ocean might be guarding evidence of human ingenuity long forgotten. By mid-May, his team began sonar scans along a stretch of the Gulf near the Mississippi Delta. The first readings were unremarkable: sandbanks, debris, and occasional coral outcroppings. But as the sonar pings grew deeper, something unexpected emerged. Perfectly geometric patterns etched into the seafloor, forming rectilinear grids and circular plazas. The shapes were unmistakably artificial. Rocks and stone blocks appeared too regular, too systematically placed to be the work of natural currents or erosion. Beaumont's team deployed diving bells to investigate the formations directly. As divers descended, the water grew unnaturally cold, and visibility became murky despite powerful lights. Then, about 150 feet beneath the surface, the divers encountered what would later be called the Sunken Temple of the Gulf. Massive stone steps led to a central plaza, lined with monolithic pillars that had somehow resisted centuries of saltwater erosion. Hieroglyph-like carvings decorated some of the stones, worn but still discernible, hinting at a sophisticated language or code. This discovery electrified the academic community. Newspapers sensationalized the findings, calling them the Atlantis of the Gulf. But Beaumont cautioned against jumping to conclusions. He insisted on meticulous documentation, sketches, measurements, and careful recovery of artifacts. Among these artifacts were pottery shards, bronze tools corroded but intact, and a set of large flat stones arranged in a pattern resembling early astronomical observatories. Beaumont's research suggested something astonishing. These structures predated known civilizations in the Americas, possibly by thousands of years. Carbon dating of organic residues found in the site indicated human activity as early as 5000 BCE, long before Egypt's pyramids were completed and before the Sumerians built their ziggurats. If confirmed, this would rewrite the timeline of human technological advancement. The mystery deepened when the team noticed signs of sudden submersion. Layers of sediment indicated catastrophic flooding, not gradual sea level rise. The structures appeared to have been intentionally submerged, perhaps by seismic activity or deliberate engineering. Beaumont theorized that a natural disaster, such as an enormous earthquake or a series of tsunamis, could have caused the sudden sinking of these cities, wiping out populations in the process. Yet some anomalies defied conventional explanation. Certain stone blocks bore grooves and channels that seemed designed to control water flow, suggesting that the builders understood hydraulics and flood management. The precision of their masonry rivaled that of ancient Greek and Egyptian structures, yet no known culture in the Gulf region at that time displayed these capabilities. Beaumont documented these findings meticulously, producing extensive journals and photographic plates, but he faced challenges in convincing the broader academic community. Critics suggested that erosion, coral formation, and natural rock fracturing could explain the structures. Others proposed that these were remnants of ancient dockyards or defensive seawalls. Beaumont disagreed. The symmetry, alignment, and craftsmanship indicated deliberate design. Someone, or some civilization, had built this, and their knowledge exceeded anything known for that era. As the 1930s approached, funding for further exploration became scarce, yet stories of the sunken Gulf structures continued to circulate. Fishermen reported strange lights and shadows beneath the water. Ships occasionally lost equipment near the coordinates Beaumont had mapped, as if unseen forces interfered with their movement. These accounts blurred the line between natural mystery and legend, reinforcing the sense that something extraordinary lay beneath the waves. In 1937, Beaumont returned to the site with new equipment, an early version of a submersible capable of extended underwater exploration. What he discovered during this expedition shocked even him. Beneath the main temple lay a network of tunnels and chambers, many still intact. Some walls contained bas-reliefs depicting scenes of trade, agriculture, and even what appeared to be rituals dedicated to celestial bodies. Others displayed images of enormous floodwaters engulfing coastal settlements. It was a civilization that had recorded its own destruction. Beaumont collected samples for analysis, fragments of metal alloys unknown in North America at that time, remnants of textile fibers, and small clay tablets etched with symbols. He sent these to laboratories in New Orleans and later to institutions in Paris and London. Early analyses suggested that these materials could only have been produced by a society with advanced metallurgy and weaving techniques, contradicting prevailing assumptions about prehistoric Americas. Despite the incredible significance of the findings, World War II intervened, and further exploration was put on hold. Beaumont's notes were archived, photographs remained unpublished, and the sunken Gulf structures faded from public consciousness. But whispers persisted. Treasure hunters, divers, and scholars occasionally reported glimpses of submerged walls and corridors, reinforcing the idea that this was not an isolated anomaly, but part of a larger, interconnected network of underwater cities along the Gulf and Atlantic coasts. Some modern historians now speculate that these cities were remnants of a maritime civilization capable of extensive trade, navigation, and engineering long before known historical civilizations emerged. Others wonder if these were survivalist communities, forced to relocate due to rising seas after the last ice age. And yet, the precision and complexity of their construction suggest more than survival. They hint at culture, ritual, and knowledge, lost beneath the tides. The question remained, who built these cities, and why were they intentionally submerged? Beaumont could only speculate. Was it a natural disaster? A deliberate act to protect knowledge? Or perhaps a warning to future generations? Whatever the reason, the sunken structures beneath the ocean remain one of history's most tantalizing mysteries, challenging our understanding of human ingenuity and resilience. As oceanographic technology advanced in the 21st century, new sonar imaging and deep-sea drones began revealing that these submerged sites were far more extensive than Beaumont could have imagined. The Gulf of Mexico was just the beginning. Similar formations have been identified along the Caribbean, the Florida Straits, and even off the coast of Bermuda, suggesting the existence of a global network of ancient underwater cities. By the end of Part 1, one truth is undeniable. The ocean has been a silent keeper of secrets far older and more complex than anyone has acknowledged. And for those daring enough to explore, the sunken structures beneath the ocean offer a glimpse into civilizations that history has almost entirely forgotten.
The discovery of the sunken Gulf structures did not end with Beaumont's initial findings. In fact, it was only the beginning of a much larger and far more mysterious tale. Decades after his first expeditions, a new generation of explorers and researchers began to revisit his work, armed with modern technology, high-resolution sonar, underwater drones, and submersibles capable of reaching depths unimaginable in the 1920s. Each expedition revealed more questions than answers. In 1974, marine archaeologist Dr. Evelyn Carter led one such expedition off the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula. Dr. Carter had long been fascinated by pre-Columbian maritime cultures and had studied ancient Maya and Olmec civilizations extensively. She had read Beaumont's notes in the archives of the Smithsonian Institution and was determined to investigate the submerged ruins for herself. Carter's team located a site eerily similar to Beaumont's Sunken Temple, a rectangular plaza surrounded by monolithic stone blocks, channels for water flow, and most astonishingly, a series of underwater corridors leading into the seabed. Unlike natural caves, these corridors were perfectly shaped, with walls smoothed and corners sharply defined. Some chambers appeared to be designed for large gatherings, with seating arrangements carved directly into the stone, as if for councils, ceremonies, or instruction. During one dive, Carter's assistant, Luis Fernandez, noticed strange patterns on the stone floors. Using specialized cameras, they photographed shallow depressions forming repeating sequences. At first glance, they seemed random, but after weeks of analysis, Dr. Carter realized these were mathematical patterns, perhaps a form of numeric notation or even an early calendar system. The discovery suggested that this sunken civilization possessed not only advanced engineering skills, but also abstract reasoning and a knowledge of mathematics comparable to early Mesopotamian cultures. Artifacts recovered during the expedition further complicated the story. Small, intricately designed metal objects, including rings, figurines, and tools, were made from alloys unknown to contemporary archaeologists. Some fragments contained traces of copper, tin, and even traces of gold, but in combinations suggesting metallurgical knowledge centuries ahead of their time. The textiles discovered, remarkably well preserved despite centuries underwater, featured elaborate weaving patterns, symbols, and even motifs resembling astronomical charts. Perhaps the most unsettling discovery came from an enormous chamber near the center of the site. The walls were covered with bas-reliefs depicting people with features that did not match known populations of the region. They were tall, robust, and often shown performing complex rituals involving large stone devices, water channels, and celestial observation instruments. Some carvings suggested the people understood the movement of the stars with extreme precision, possibly using the sun and moon to track seasonal changes critical for agriculture and navigation. The implications were staggering. This civilization had clearly achieved a level of sophistication previously thought impossible in the pre-Columbian Americas. They possessed engineering, mathematics, astronomy, and metallurgy far beyond what their neighbors were known to have. And yet, they disappeared. Their cities, their people, and their knowledge vanished beneath the waves, leaving only cryptic hints for modern explorers to uncover. Dr. Carter hypothesized that the sudden submersion of these cities might not have been entirely accidental. Sediment layers indicated abrupt flooding events consistent with massive tsunamis or seismic activity, but there was also evidence that some structures were deliberately designed to be submerged. Certain terraces and channels directed water into chambers that would be entirely flooded if the sea level rose. Could it be that the builders anticipated rising waters or some catastrophic event? Or were they trying to protect knowledge for future generations, hiding their cities beneath the ocean until humanity was ready to rediscover them? The human story intertwined with these discoveries was equally mysterious. Fishermen along the Yucatan coast recounted tales passed down through generations. They spoke of the people of the waters, legendary inhabitants who had vanished overnight, leaving only stone monuments beneath the waves. According to local oral traditions, these people were experts in reading the stars and predicting floods and storms. Some tales even mentioned a great warning, as if the vanished civilization had foreseen a disaster and chose to retreat beneath the sea rather than perish on land. In 1983, another team discovered a chamber containing stone tablets etched with a symbolic language unlike anything previously documented. While some symbols resembled early Mayan glyphs, others were entirely unique, geometric in nature, often repeating in sequences. Cryptographers and linguists struggled for years to decipher the writing. Preliminary interpretations suggested references to astronomical events, floods, and even migration patterns. One tablet in particular seemed to describe a city being swallowed by water, with inhabitants escaping in boats along rivers that no longer exist. Could these have been eyewitness accounts recorded for posterity? The mystery deepened when researchers realized that the construction techniques at these sunken sites were remarkably uniform across different locations. Stone blocks were cut with precision, channels were carved for water management, and ceremonial spaces followed similar layouts. This suggested the existence of a network of cities spanning the Caribbean and Gulf regions, all built with shared architectural and cultural knowledge. The question remained, how had these people communicated, coordinated, and maintained such a civilization without leaving a continuous, documented presence on land? In the 1990s, with the advent of computer modeling and sonar mapping, researchers began connecting previously isolated sunken sites into a larger picture. The layout suggested trade routes, ceremonial networks, and perhaps even early forms of governance. Some of the sunken cities had docks and harbor-like structures, hinting at extensive maritime travel. Objects recovered from the sites, ceramics, ornaments, and tools, showed stylistic similarities across hundreds of miles, indicating cultural exchange and shared practices. Dr. Carter proposed a revolutionary theory. The sunken civilization may have been a seafaring culture with the ability to adapt to rising sea levels. Rising ocean waters at the end of the last ice age could have gradually forced coastal cities to relocate, or in some cases, allowed entire settlements to be submerged by catastrophic events. This could explain why evidence of the civilization is hidden underwater and why they seem to vanish abruptly from historical records. Yet some aspects defied natural explanations. Certain stone blocks were aligned with such precision to celestial bodies that scholars questioned whether the civilization had knowledge of astronomy on par with the ancients of Mesopotamia or Egypt. The sunken observatories, ceremonial plazas, and mathematical patterns carved into stone suggested a society deeply invested in understanding the cosmos. Could they have possessed knowledge that was deliberately hidden from later civilizations? Or perhaps they had achieved a level of understanding that modern science is only beginning to grasp. The story of the sunken structures also intersected with mysterious artifacts found on land. In Mexico and the Caribbean, isolated findings of copper tools, polished stones, and strange geometric carvings suggested the builders were not confined to submerged cities. Instead, their influence and trade networks may have spanned both land and sea. Anthropologists began to speculate that the civilization had been part of a larger global maritime culture, now lost to time, whose knowledge was deliberately obscured by the ocean. By the turn of the 21st century, new technologies like submersibles equipped with high-definition cameras, sonar mapping, and 3D modeling had revolutionized underwater archaeology. Researchers uncovered tunnels connecting sunken structures, chambers with preserved wooden beams, and terraced plazas that had somehow withstood thousands of years of erosion. Each discovery reinforced one fact: the civilization beneath the ocean had been sophisticated, advanced, and possibly far more influential than any land-based civilization of its time. And yet, despite all the evidence, the sunken civilization remained a mystery. Who were these people? Why did they disappear? Were they warning future generations, or had they simply been victims of forces beyond their control? Each recovered artifact, Each submerged chamber and each bas-relief carved into the stone deepened the enigma, reminding explorers that the ocean had been, and remains, a vast keeper of human history, much of it waiting to be discovered. For those who dive into these submerged ruins today, the sunken civilization is not just a historical curiosity. It is a challenge, an invitation to uncover secrets lost for millennia, and a reminder that human ingenuity often exceeds the limits imposed by time, environment, and circumstance. The stories of these cities are a testament to creativity, resilience, and the profound mysteries that lie hidden beneath the waves, secrets that may one day change our understanding of human history forever.
As the 21st century unfolded, the sunken civilization beneath the oceans became one of the most tantalizing puzzles for historians, archaeologists, and oceanographers alike. Advanced technology, high-resolution sonar, robotic submersibles, and underwater drones finally allowed researchers to explore areas that had been inaccessible even to pioneers like Richard Beaumont and Dr. Evelyn Carter. What they discovered was nothing short of astonishing: an interconnected network of submerged cities stretching from the Gulf of Mexico to the Caribbean, with architectural consistency, astronomical precision, and an engineering sophistication that rivaled or surpassed many ancient civilizations known on land. One of the most significant breakthroughs came in 2015, when a deep-sea drone operated off the coast of Cuba captured imagery of a massive underwater complex previously hidden beneath centuries of sediment. The structure appeared to be a central administrative hub, with large plazas, amphitheater-like spaces, and wide stone roads connecting multiple chambers. Some walls were inscribed with complex symbols, geometric shapes, and what appeared to be early forms of writing, patterns that hinted at mathematics, astronomy, and perhaps even philosophy. Dr. Marcus Levine, a marine archaeologist specializing in submerged ruins, described the discovery in an interview. What is extraordinary about this civilization is that it was global in scope, highly organized, and technologically advanced. The precision with which they aligned their structures to celestial events suggests knowledge far beyond what we expected from pre-Columbian cultures. This isn't a local anomaly. It's a testament to a highly sophisticated society that mastered both engineering and astronomy, then vanished beneath the waves. Artifacts recovered from the site have fueled speculation about the civilization's capabilities and connections. Metal objects show evidence of alloys that would not become common until thousands of years later. Some tools are crafted with such precision that they seem almost modern. Ceramic vessels and ornaments display motifs consistent with astronomical charts, and fragments of carved tablets suggest a written language capable of recording abstract thought. The underwater cities also reveal clues about their disappearance. Layers of sediment indicate sudden catastrophic events, consistent with massive earthquakes or tsunamis, rather than gradual sea level rise. Yet some structural designs appear intentionally engineered to channel water, suggesting that the civilization may have anticipated or even manipulated natural forces in an effort to protect certain areas. Some archaeologists propose that the builders were attempting to preserve knowledge by hiding it beneath the ocean, much like a time capsule, in the hope that future generations could rediscover it. Intriguingly, there is evidence that these submerged civilizations were not isolated. Comparisons of architectural styles, construction techniques, and artifacts suggest a wide-ranging network of trade, cultural exchange, and possibly governance across the Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean islands, and parts of Central America. Stone blocks, ceramic designs, and metallic alloys show consistent craftsmanship, hinting at a standardized system of building and trade. Even underwater canals and docking facilities indicate that maritime navigation was a key component of their society, allowing them to move goods, people and knowledge across vast distances. Some discoveries border on the mysterious. In the deepest chambers of Cuba's submerged city, researchers found a series of engraved stones forming sequences that appear to track lunar cycles, solar movements, and tidal patterns. Certain symbols may correspond to astronomical events like eclipses, which would have been critical for predicting environmental changes, agricultural cycles, and floods. This knowledge implies a society capable of long-term planning, sophisticated observation, and perhaps even early forms of predictive science. The question that has haunted scholars for decades remains: who were these people, and why did they vanish so completely? While natural disasters are a likely cause, the scale of their disappearance suggests more than just environmental forces. Some researchers speculate that the civilization experienced a series of devastating events, a combination of earthquakes, tsunamis, and climatic shifts that forced them into rapid retreat or relocation. Others argue for a more deliberate act. The cities were intentionally submerged, a controlled effort to protect the knowledge, sacred sites, or populations from impending catastrophe. One tantalizing possibility is that this civilization may have been connected to other advanced maritime societies across the globe. Similar submerged ruins have been found in the Mediterranean, off the coast of Japan, and near the Bahamas, with construction techniques and alignment patterns reminiscent of the Gulf sites. Could these civilizations have shared knowledge, trade, or even cultural traditions long before recorded history? Some researchers suggest that a global maritime network existed thousands of years ago, one that vanished almost entirely, leaving only fragmented clues hidden beneath the sea. The human dimension of this mystery is equally compelling. Modern divers occasionally report strange phenomena near these submerged ruins: unusual currents, sudden temperature changes, and even inexplicable light patterns. Local folklore across the Gulf and Caribbean islands speaks of the people of the waves, societies who vanished overnight, leaving behind monuments and warnings for those who might follow. Some legends tell of survivors who fled inland, merging with other cultures and leaving behind subtle traces in art, language, and ritual practices. These oral histories, though often dismissed as myth, may contain kernels of truth passed down through generations. Technological advances continue to revolutionize underwater archaeology. 3D mapping allows researchers to create virtual reconstructions of submerged cities, while sonar imaging uncovers previously hidden tunnels and chambers. In some cases, scientists have begun to experiment with non-invasive methods to recover chemical traces from sediments, revealing what plants were cultivated, what metals were used, and even possible dietary patterns of the inhabitants. These studies suggest that the civilization was highly organized, with agricultural, industrial, and ceremonial knowledge integrated into daily life. The implications of these discoveries extend beyond history. Understanding the rise and fall of a civilization so technologically advanced and so abruptly destroyed offers critical insights into human resilience, environmental adaptation, and the fragility of societies in the face of natural disasters. It is a cautionary tale as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. Rising seas, earthquakes, and other environmental challenges continue to threaten modern civilizations, reminding us that the ocean, once a cradle of advanced knowledge, remains an unpredictable force. Some researchers now focus on decoding the symbols and bas-reliefs found throughout the submerged sites. Preliminary translations suggest the civilization may have recorded historical events, astronomical phenomena, and even philosophical ideas about the cosmos and humanity's place within it. If fully deciphered, these texts could offer a direct connection to a lost intellectual tradition, perhaps rivaling early Egyptian, Mesopotamian, or Greek knowledge. Yet despite decades of exploration, the full story of the sunken civilization remains elusive.
Vast areas of the ocean remain unexplored, and many structures lie buried under meters of sediment. Each discovery raises new questions. How did these people achieve such technological mastery? How extensive was their maritime network? And most importantly, what lessons did they leave behind, intentionally or unintentionally, for future generations? In the end, the sunken structures beneath the ocean are more than just ruins. They are a testament to human ingenuity, curiosity, and the enduring mystery of civilizations lost to time. For modern explorers, historians, and curious minds worldwide, the oceans are not just a boundary, they are a doorway into humanity's forgotten past. And perhaps one day, with continued exploration, advanced technology, and careful study, we may finally answer the question that has haunted scholars for generations. Who built these cities? Why did they vanish? And what lessons can their story teach us about the fragility and resilience of civilization itself? Until then, the sunken structures remain an enduring mystery, silent, hidden, and waiting for the world to remember them.